In today's video, I am talking about frustration, and I'm talking about using frustration as a data point and extracting information from it that can help us power through it and get to the results that we want. It helps us to identify and disrupt our patterns so that we don't fall into the same frustration, but only if we're willing to look at it in terms of what we can learn from it. So come with me. It's time to break barriers and build legacy. Hey, welcome back. It's Rob here. Happy Monday, the last day of March. Thank you for joining me here. We're going to move into a new month tomorrow with something exciting that I will reveal at the end of this video. But right now, I want to talk about frustration and how you can make it your superpower. Now, maybe not your superpower necessarily, but frustration is something that I like to think of as a gem. Frustration is something that can inform me and that you can use to inform you of specifically what it is that you need to do differently. Okay? Frustration I see as a data point. In other words, when I have an experience where I feel frustrated, I look at that and I determine where is that frustration coming from. I reflect on it. I think about why am I frustrated? What is it that caused my frustration? Is it a lack of preparation? Is it a lack of sleep? Is it something that I feel like I don't know yet? These are the things that you can do with your frustration instead of just letting it happen and instead of kind of just trying to wait for it to pass or something like that. You can extract data from your frustration and you can use that to inform your decisions going forward so that you can move past and move beyond it. Okay. And so one of the times that I really felt this and was able to have this impact from my frustration was exactly that kind of situation where I couldn't put my finger on what it was that I was frustrated about. And I was in a situation where things were familiar to me. It wasn't an unknown situation, something I'd done many times before, but I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't really nail what I was trying to do, and I couldn't get the right result that I wanted. And so I had to take a step back, take a deep breath, relax, and then hone in on what it was that was frustrating me. Where was the frustration coming from? And once I was able to pinpoint that, then I was able to work through it and I was able to come out the other side and produce the result that I wanted. So one of the keys to this is that you've got to, again, do this kind of self-discovery and figure out what your patterns are. Because our frustration comes from patterns. It comes from, we are, I guess, triggered by something is what most people like to say, and then that frustrates us. And as Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, and one of my favorite expressions of all time, is that between stimulus and response, there is always choice, all right? As humans, we have that ability, that unique ability to choose our response. We are not Pavlov's dogs. We don't hear the bell ring and salivate, right? We have the choice of how to react to something. And so when you have frustration, it stemmed from something, and if you can trace it back to that, you can start to insert your own response and interrupt that pattern, okay? And disrupt it and choose something new. All of our reactions are choices. It may not seem like it, and it may not feel like it in the moment, and especially if you have programmed responses, right? But that programming, you were not born with it. That programming is something that you developed over time and that maybe people hammered into you and that's where it came from. Maybe you got reinforcement from experiences and so now you kind of expect a certain result based on your past. But your past doesn't have to equal your future. You can always change it. And the way you change it is by intercepting that automatic response, by choosing your response. You can choose. One of my favorite examples is, there are plenty of people, and I'm not going to use any kind of foul language on my channel, but even using the word, even addressing it as foul language bothers me because it's not foul language. There are no bad words, okay? Words are words, all right? We assign the meaning to them. And if you are offended by certain words, four-letter words or whatever you want to call them, bad words. We'll just use that as a term because a lot of people use it. But I can't stand using that word because that term, because there's no such thing as a bad word. It's just a word, okay? We are assigning value. We are putting that value judgment on it. And you are choosing to do that. And it may be that you were programmed through your upbringing that certain words are bad words, and you were raised that way. But you have to understand that now that you're an adult, you can choose differently. And I'm not saying whether you should be offended or not offended. I'm not trying to get into that debate or that kind of an issue here. But what I'm saying is that recognizing that if you are offended by so-called foul language, you're choosing that. You are letting that language affect you in a certain way, and you don't have to do that. You can choose differently. And that's one of the most powerful examples that I can think of, because so many people are programmed to think a certain way about certain words, and they hear certain words used and it triggers them. And you can interrupt that, and you can stick something in the way of that. You can scratch that record, so to speak, and not have to have that automatic response, okay? And it isn't easy. It's simple, but it isn't easy, okay? Like a lot of things. It takes time, it takes effort. And again, I'm not, pronouncing that you should try to work on not being offended by certain words, okay? That's not the point of this. My point, though, is that I want you to recognize that it is your choice, that you are choosing that response. We choose all of our responses. And it may not seem like it again, but if it doesn't seem like it, if you're having a hard time accepting this, I want you to try, and it doesn't have to be as high stakes as something like this with the language and all that, but I want you to try with something that you have an automatic response to. Maybe it's spiders, and you have a fear of spiders. You're choosing that. You're choosing to be afraid of spiders, okay? So don't be. Choose differently. Again, it's not easy, okay? But I want you to try and practice this because it can be done with anything, all right? So it's important to, again, identify the patterns that we engage in so that we can change them. And to kind of bring this back around to what we're really talking about here, which is business and success and getting unstuck, the responses that you're choosing, once you start to choose differently, you can start to take different actions, and different actions will lead to different results. And that's really the whole point of this, is that if you want different results in your life because you're not getting the results that you think you deserve, or that you feel like you should be getting, or the results that you want, however you want to label that, if you're having a lot of frustration with your results, then you need to do different things, and you need to choose different actions. And in order to do that, you're going to need to change your automatic responses. You're going to need to change your patterns, disrupt them, and get out of your comfort zone, okay? Because again, as I've said many times, and I say a lot on this channel, excellence is a decision. It is a conscious decision that we make, just like your reaction to something, just like disrupting a pattern. You can also choose excellence. And it's a conscious choice that you have to make day in, day out, sometimes hour by hour. But you have to remind yourself that excellence is a decision. It is not something that just comes. It is not something that comes from talent. It is not something that just happens. It is something that you must choose. You must decide and commit to being excellent. And if you can commit to being excellent in everything that you do, and commit to a high level of performance in everything that you do, pretty soon excellence becomes your norm. And that becomes your natural choice that you're making. And you make that choice repeatedly all the time, and it becomes automatic. And that becomes your new pattern. So you understand maybe now how all this kind of works together and how all this weaves together here. Because if you choose excellence and if you decide to be excellent, that's going to lead you to different behaviors and certain kinds of behaviors that you haven't been engaging in before you chose excellence. All right? So Really, really important, again, to understand your frustrations and where they come from so that you can start to choose differently. Because frustration for a lot of us is an automatic thing. It is an emotion that happens automatically because of conditioning from our past. And we have to recognize that, and then we have to step in and decide not to be frustrated. I know, again, that sounds kind of strange, but if you give this a shot, I guarantee that you will understand what I'm talking about, and you will learn this, that you can choose differently. You don't have to be triggered by your past and by things that have gone on and the way you've always been. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. You can step in and you can change things, and you have to change things if you want to be able to extract from your frustration a valuable benefit and then move on from it. So, again, I said at the top of this about the next thing that's coming here. I am going to be diving in starting tomorrow with a chapter-by-chapter walkthrough of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, you can get that on Audible. If you haven't gotten your free Audible trial, it's a link down in the description here to get your free Audible trial, and then you can get Atomic Habits as your intro book, and then you can come right along with me on this journey. We're going to go chapter by chapter, just like I've done with a couple other books here on the channel already. Atomic Habits is going to be the first one that I walk through day by day with you in real time, and it's a book that I haven't read yet. So I'm really excited to do this. I'm really excited to jump in and share my findings with you and have you share your findings with me, all right? And that starts tomorrow, and I'm going to go through about 2 chapters a week. So it looks like Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be when I go post the chapter videos, basically, where I kind of give an overview of the chapter. I'm not going to read to you here on the channel, okay? But again, Audible will. And so go get your Audible, your free trial, and check out Atomic Habits. And if you've read it already, I'm really interested to see what other people have to say about it. So drop a comment about that. And I'm really excited and looking forward to diving into this book. And I'm excited to be here and do it with you. So join me tomorrow for Atomic Habits, and I will see you then. And remember, excellence is a decision.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.